You are listening to Armchair Healthcare, a podcast on pills, placebos, and policy.
All right, welcome to Armchair Healthcare. We're back, baby.
Yeah, sorry guys. We just had holidays and JP Morgan and all this other and vacations in the way, and so we had to take a little bit of a break, but we're back. And there's a whole backlog of things we can talk about, so we'll have to sift through them.
Great. And so you might be able to hear that we're also in a new office space with extra echo. It's great.
Love it.
If anything, our sound quality should be more dynamic with extra reverb.
Wah, wah, wah,
All right, take it away, Max.
Okay, so, well, first I want to comment on do something non-healthcare, which is just, it is so cold outside.
It's really cold outside.
It's like, it's not 0 Fahrenheit, it's like 0 Kelvin.
Okay.
It's like really cold. And I really suggest that we build a mountain range. We don't build a wall with Mexico. We build a mountain range between us and Canada and keep all that cold air up in Canada where it belongs.
Are Canadians just used to this sort of thing? Is this just like their life?
I think so. They're basically Eskimos. No, that's actually not true. If you look at, there's, those maps that go around like, fit where, under this line, 50% of Canadian people live, like, it's actually really low. It's like 50% of Canadians live within below Minnesota.
Yeah, like within 10 miles of the U.S. border too, or something, right?
Yeah, but all like kind of in the Ontario, southern Quebec area. So
Canada, it's the U.S.'s hat.
Pretty much a really, really cold hat. So we should just block it off, and then they of course will have much cooler summers, but I don't really care. We will have a much more temperate climate, like the Europeans. That's why the Europeans have like Italy's always kind of nice, and Spain. You have like the Alps and the Pyrenees and the Carpathians kind of blocking all that cold weather up there.
I don't get it. Like Spain is like even with New York, or I do get it because it's something jet stream. I don't know, but it's ocean currents. But like Spain is the same longitude and latitude as U.S. Or not the U.S. as New York. Like Madrid is like even with New York, and they get like the great beaches, and the beaches in New York are like frozen tundras right now.
Yeah, it's all because of those mountains that they have keeping that cold air out. So we need to keep that horrible Canadian air up there because that Canadian air just keeps coming down, and we don't have a choice on whether the air gets down here or not. That's not America.
Mm-hmm. But that would also put up bigger hurdles to keep out Canadian pharma companies, which are some of the best ones in the world.
Yes. Oh, but can we have also a barrier to keep Canadian geese out?
Oh, yeah. I hate geese. I just absolutely hate geese. They're nasty animals. They're not very friendly. They're not very pretty. They shit everywhere. And they will come and take over your pond. And I'll be like, this is our pond now. Fuck you. And
ducks are so much nicer.
Ducks are nice. Ducks are pretty. Although ducks are rapists, evidently.
What?
Ducks love to rape.
I'm hoping other ducks.
Yes, other ducks mostly. But there was actually a journal article one time about homosexual necrophiliac ducks.
In which publication was this?
This was in I guess Fowl Quarterly.
Oh.
Anyway, so in biotech news, take it away, Max.
Okay, well, in biotech news, we've had this week Biogen reported, earnings, and the big thing was they were very evasive on the interim look for aducanumab, their Alzheimer's drug. They as an answer to a question, they said, "I'm really sorry, but we continue to have a policy here that we don't talk about interim analysis."
So they don't. Yeah, it's
the first rule of BIIB Fight Club is we don't talk about interim analysis.
So yes, you if you've listened to the podcast before, you probably know how we feel about amyloids, and this is hopefully the last one. Is this the last one? I mean, Roche hasn't. anti-A beta kicking around, don't they?
No, they blew up to like they canceled those trials like yesterday.
No, yes, that's right. That's why I was thinking about it. Yes, I remember that news. And so, yes, it's not a good week in biotech if another amyloid beta antibody doesn't fail.
No, I mean, like, how do those PowerPoint presentations for the R&D folks go? Like, okay, here's the reason why it failed the first 300 times, and this is the reason why we think it'll work this time.
Yeah, I've seen that presentation for AGEN, and they're like, oh, it's just a really good... It targets a certain stage of the amyloid becoming bad, and it keeps them from polymerizing or something. I don't know. Each one has their own logic, and none of them ever work because probably amyloids don't cause Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's probably the lesson. But they're still going at it.
Yeah, blaming amyloids for Alzheimer's is like, let's say you get a stomach bug and then you puke up all over yourself and be like, the reason why you're sick is because you're covered in vomit.
Well, no,
it's like missing the cause and effect in the whole thing.
Or blaming the psoriasis plaques for the psoriasis.
Yes, there's probably something going on inside your neurons, which is killing them and making them not work correctly, instead of something that's outside them, just sort of hanging out, not doing anything. That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, Forrest. And then, this was like a couple weeks ago. TYME, I think it's TYME Technologies. They had a presentation. They have a...
What is this? I don't know what company this is.
It's TYME is the ticker. And they had a presentation at, I think it was like ASCO GI, where they had data in third-line pancreatic cancer.
Third-line pancreatic cancer. Okay.
So
how many people have third-line pancreatic cancer?
Well,
I mean, how many people get to the second line of pancreatic cancer before they kick it?
Yeah, not many. I mean,
the
market's going to be small. I'm going to guess it's probably about like 3,000 people or something.
Okay. So is this a positive news story or is this a negative one?
This is a make fun of a company one.
Make fun of a company one. Okay.
Yeah. So the company said that there's clear monotherapy activity for their drug. So they had almost no responses, like literally. It was, they were doing kind of disease stabilization rate, like, oh, we have, let me actually get the number.
Well, activity doesn't mean the same thing as efficacy, Max.
Yeah,
it might be doing something, but not doing anything good, not actually making people live longer.
Yeah, it was like, so, 47.1% of subjects, 8 out of 17, achieved a clinical benefit, stable disease, or partial response. And it was really just one actually achieved a partial response. So if you look at like the waterfall plot, the vast majority of people actually had progression.
Right. So if I were the person giving this presentation, I'd say, well, these are very, very sick patients. Well, seeing any sort of benefit is really phenomenal.
And by the way, this was target lesion percent change at 2 months. It was like this arbitrary kind of
not like
time
tumor
points.
Shrinkage or something like that. Real PR?
Yeah, it's not using, I think, the actual like RECIST criteria.
Okay.
It's like at 2 months is not like it's just kind of weird. They just chose that time point, and then this isn't actually even a monotherapy. So it's a novel anti-cancer regimen that consists of 4 drugs. So they have 1 investigational agent and then 3 repurposed drugs that they are putting together.
So the combination is monotherapy, is what they're saying.
I guess so. But they're talking about like real activity, and it's like, come on, guys.
Combination monotherapy. I like that. I like a combination monotherapy.
Yeah, and okay. So there were partial responses here, but how do you know it's not from like some sort of delayed reaction to the previous chemos they got? I mean, you don't know. And then they of course did the good old, our overall survival was better than historical.
Oh,
so
I love that.
Yeah, I really love that. So it's like 68% of subjects were alive at a median of 4.3 months of follow-up. So was the 4.3 months of follow-up, so that median, is it just for that 68% and not the 100% of subjects? It's just worded so crappily. Anywho, so this one was kind of funny. That waterfall plot is not how waterfall plots are supposed to look. And then the other day we also had, which took the internet by storm.
Oh, is this the
Jerusalem
cure
Post.
the cure for all cancer?
Yeah, the cure for cancer from the Israeli company that doesn't have enough money to publish their results.
But they don't. So they don't have. It doesn't take that much money.
I know.
It's like a few $100.
And
It's
I
not
would
really
think
that
if you've
much.
cured cancer, like some people might just let you do it.
Probably.
But yeah, so that's kind of their excuse. Oh yeah, we don't have the money for it.
We're running very lean. We're running very, very lean.
We're a
right
virtual
now
company.
with a cure for cancer, all cancer.
Yes. And then you got like people like Glenn Beck taking the story, and it's like, guys, are you
Where did
you nuts?
these guys have the best PR firm in like the entire world? Because literally anyone could just say, "I've got a cure for cancer." Like I've got a cure for cancer in my pants, and
I don't think you can say that in a Me Too environment.
oh god, and and so let's run with this. Let me go to a great newspaper like the Jerusalem Post, and like, I've got a cure for cancer in my pants
Our results are consistent and repeatable.
on all cancers.
Yeah, and it's completely and utterly safe. It's like an antibiotic.
It's like it's a game changer.
Dude, it's like it's going to be so big. It's going to be huge.
There's going to be a massive paradigm shift.
So and their treatment, which they call mutato.
Mutato.
Is it mutato? Or
I
mutato?
thought this was...
Let's call the whole thing off.
And it's based on soap technologies.
Oh, it's a
It's a platform. It's a platform.
Yes. Oh, it's a phage display technology.
Ooh.
Oh, I love those.
Yes, it's like literally how everything else also works. It's like the main way of identifying antibodies.
I mean, it's just
Technology from the 90s.
yeah. So anyway, this got like all over the world, and it's frightening.
Well, it works in mice.
Well, I
Versus historical controls like normal mice that just die.
Well, I mean, mice at this point, I think, are throwing parades for all the times cancer has been cured in them.
I just typed in Israeli, that's it, and it came up Israeli cancer cure. That's all I typed in.
Yeah, it's
I mean, the Google trends got to be going off.
Yeah. My wife sent me this one in a text and then started teasing me about, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. I can't believe they did it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you. And she just started laughing and she was like, I got you.
No, seriously, they do have the best PR firm. I mean, they just went absolutely viral.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have like Tim Draper offering to give them like $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Elizabeth Holmes can be the CEO of this company. There's talk she wants to do a startup.
Well, I think this is probably what this is going to end up is this what if you get this level of infection into everyone's brains, it can be really, really sticky. And I bet you this will become an alternative therapy for cancer in like as soon as the scientist cabal suppresses them and suppresses their results because they want to make money off of keeping people sick, right? As soon as Big Pharma suppresses all this great research, it'll become an alternative therapy.
You know, you joke about that, but that's what's probably going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
the way these people think, I mean, they'll probably start a clinic in the Ukraine or something.
Sure.
And why not? People will pay out of pocket. So anyway,
People said at one point that coffee enemas prevented cancer.
Okay. I guess
It's a thing. It's an alternative therapy for cancer.
So anyway, going on to another ridiculous item. So there's a startup that wants to charge $8,000 to fill your veins with young blood.
Oh, I love it.
So you can get youthful blood. And the startup is called Ambrosia, which is the food of the gods. So apparently the food of the gods is the blood of your children.
Blood.
So
it should be like vampire pharma.
Totally. It's like it's really disturbing to call your company that and do what you do. It's like we're going to suck the I mean, this was an X-Files episode in like the last season.
I feel like I've seen this before and I feel like I saw it working. Like I feel like there was something they were trying to figure out why this worked. I think it was like in a model system. It might have been in mice. So take it with a grain of salt. I feel like I've seen this before, and everyone was trying to figure out like, what was it in the blood of young mice that made old mice live longer.
Well, maybe they had like renal insufficiency, and so you were basically doing dialysis or something. I don't know.
Maybe, or maybe it's just some sort of growth factor or something like that.
I mean, 1 liter of young blood for $8,000. I don't think a liter's even going to do anything for you.
That seems a little expensive.
Yeah,
I mean,
a
and
wee
people are
bit.
just giving this shit away for free. They're just giving blood away for free. I could be charging $8,000 for my young blood. I got some
young.
I got some
young.
I got
Brianni's young.
I got some quality blood over here. My blood is real good.
You're more
Wait,
like, you know.
how old do you have to be to even donate blood?
I don't know. I donated.
And how much do they take? I've never donated.
I donated in high school. My phlebotomist, when I donated in high school, was not the best, and she kind of missed the vein a little bit and kind of tore it open, and I started squirting blood all over the place. And so when I went back to class, I was like covered in blood, like all over my t-shirt.
Oh, that must have been fun.
She apologized. Anyway, yeah. So this one, it's probably maybe it'll work. Just take out the bad blood, put in the good blood. This has been a staple of mythology for a long time.
So that's happening. It's sort of like, it's as ludicrous almost as Juicero. But there will be people who will pay for it and probably feel really good and tell their friends. Because you know what? Placebos, they do work. Another story, if you remember from a couple weeks ago, was the Alzheimer's vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
We probably should put this earlier in the podcast when we were talking about Alzheimer's. There, I think it was United Technologies, or United Neuroscience, based in Ireland, that has this Alzheimer's vaccine, and they have a really good PR person because they got in Bloomberg a whole feature on the company, and it says a first step for a family biotech's vaccine against Alzheimer's.
Okay, so
it appears to have overcome a decades-old hurdle.
Ooh. So this is your first red flag, is that it's run by a family.
Yes, it's a husband and wife team, and the husband's title is Chief Blank Officer.
Chief Blank Officer. I mean, I would just be insulted if even if my wife was the CEO of a company, she was like, "Oh, I love you, honey. I'm gonna make you an officer in this company." I would be like, "What's it gonna be, honey? Thank you." And she'd be like, "Just chief whatever officer."
Yeah,
Chief. I can't. You're not really qualified at anything. So.
Wasn't he in real estate?
Yeah, exactly. Like he was in real estate, so he has no qualifications.
And isn't
for
the
this job.
grandmother involved somehow?
Yes, the grandmother is also involved.
There's a great quote from the about the grandmother.
I mean,
Yeah,
she's the one that like invented it, I think. Right?
Yeah.
She's the inventor.
So there's like Bloomberg block quotes certain things from the article. So this is what they block quoted. My mother-in-law actually invented something that Harry Potter's your balls and makes them disappear. So that was decided by the Bloomberg editors to be featured.
It caught my attention. I was confused.
I did. It caught my attention too. I was like, "What am I reading? What does that mean? Harry Pottering my balls?"
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was something about vaccines, and so she found something that chemically castrates male pigs to keep their meat tasty and marketable. Thing.
There's another way to castrate pigs, the old-fashioned way, which doesn't cost any money, which is to cut their balls off.
Yes,
that also works. I'm just saying. I don't
know. Look, maybe there was something to this thing that she had. But anyway, the fact that like this was like what
it's
like
popular
this
in
about
China.
Alzheimer's.
It's popular in China. That they said, which I don't think is true.
And since when is Harry Potter a verb?
I think I'm going to use that more often now. This is just Harry Potter your cancer.
That will work. Yeah.
Curious Maximus.
So anyway, like I was actually wondering, is this April 1st? This is not a really serious article. Like what the heck? But anyway, I mean they have like 35 people working there. They'll probably get like SoftBank to give them $1 billion, or maybe they'll turn into a Vant. Who knows?
Who knows?
No, they did actually get they've spent $100 million so far.
Of course, they're targeting tau, right? And on Alzheimer's, right? They're totally targeting something that might actually work and not A beta, right?
Yeah, but by the way,
I think they're targeting A beta.
But the CEO, she's a Harvard-trained lawyer who consulted at McKinsey.
Oh.
So, completely qualified for his Alzheimer's vaccine.
Yes, it screams trustworthy.
So, anyway, somehow, but they were able to raise $100 million, these people.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong business. I should just stop talking about these things. We should just start our own.
We've been talking about that for a while, man.
I've got a cure for cancer in my pants. Give me a PR firm. You don't actually need anything. I've got a vaccine for NASH. Vaccine for NASH. This is good.
Oh my God, that's perfect because there's so many people who can get NASH. So we need everyone to get vaccinated for NASH.
Yes.
That was something that would drive the anti-vaxxers so crazy. Oh my gosh. It'll be awesome to watch.
Speaking of which, there's I was gonna go to Portland. Well, I wasn't gonna. I should say.
Don't. There's probably a measles outbreak there.
I'm not going to Portland. My wife is going to Portland in March to introduce our new baby, yay, to some of her friends out there. But she had to cancel the trip because Portland is filled with measles. Some of these idiots have been taking their measles-riddled spawn to sporting events. Like they had to at a Blazers game, they reached out to everyone that they could that bought tickets and said, yeah, there was a kid here with measles, so literally every single one of you has been exposed. And given how contagious measles is, there's a legitimate chance that any child that wasn't vaccinated at that Blazers game could have gotten it.
Yeah, it's all over the country. I mean,
it's at the airport there. They say they've had big problems with this at the airport because they're flying in the Delta terminal. People they know of exposures in the Delta terminal, and we were going to fly Delta there, so we had to cancel the trip.
Delta in Portland or Delta in New York?
Delta in Portland, and so
because we have 300 or something measles cases in New York.
Yes,
because of the Orthodox Jewish community in Muncie.
Yes, it's luckily it's isolated both demographically and geographically in New York, whereas in Portland, it's it's not really in Portland. It's actually the origin was in Vancouver, Washington, but splitting hairs.
Yeah, and there was, I think you probably saw this online. This mother saying, "Oh, there's this measles outbreak in my area, and my kid hasn't been vaccinated. What should I do?" It's vaccinate your friggin' child.
Well, my kid is too young. My kid is too young.
No.
So
but
we're what do we do? Isolate ourselves.
No.
Don't go to Brooklyn. Don't go to Crown Heights.
No, she wasn't a legitimate person like that. She was an anti-vaxxer. Who was what should I do? How about you do the vaccine? It's the arguments these people make are just so ludicrous. I remember one of them is, the U.S. has some of the, I think the highest number of required vaccines of any industrialized country. But our infant mortality rate or the mortality rate for kids under the age of 5 is higher than every other industrialized nation. Mm-hmm. It's yes, that second part is true. But if you actually look, when we went from 10 required vaccines in 1983 to 36 or whatever that we have now, that mortality rate for children under 5 went down by 2/3. So it's they do use facts, but they just cut and paste them to their whims.
Well, I like the fact that the rise in autism diagnoses in the U.S. is inversely proportional to the number of pirates in the world. And so as the number of pirates has been going down very steadily, I mind you, since the 19th century, there's been a very steady rise in the number of autism diagnoses. And if you ask me, I don't think that's a random chance.
No, I think actually scurvy was protecting us from autism.
Scurvy was protecting us
from autism. So maybe we should need to make some sort of scurvy based autism vaccine.
Oh, it's big vitamin C. It's big vitamin C. Vitamin C is actually bad for you. And it's all those people making lots of money off of vitamin C that are pushing this agenda.
Yes, all those humongous vitamin kings.
Vitamin Kings.
Vitamin Kings.
Vitamin Kings is the name of my new alternative rock band.
So, in other news, Agenus, which I always think of as antigenics because they are antigenics. So they're doing a digital coin offering to fund their PD-1.
I know this is scary to me.
Yes, in cooperation with Atomic Capital. Great name, not radioactive at all. Boom, boom.
That reminds me of the best ticker to ever exist. Have you ever heard of Atom Energy? No one's heard of Atom Energy. They're listed OTC, and their ticker was ATURD.
No.
Yes, this was really a thing, and they changed their ticker. They did it, and then they were like, they obviously must not speak English, and they're like, oh crap, and then they changed it after the fact to something else.
A turd.
A turd.
That's horrible.
That was a real thing. Anyway,
well, I know there's one that's poop. Someone has a ticker poop.
Is that a microbiome company?
Possibly.
There's the weed ticker. Yeah. That's one.
So we could also talk about there's one thing. I love talking about Northwest Bio.
Yay!
Yes. So we have to have a Northwest Bio mention.
Northwest Bio.
Woo! Anyway, Northwest Bio. So their pay is pretty. They came out with their proxy statement, and so you can see how much they're paying each other. Like salary is kind of in line with a biotech, so really can't complain there. But with like options awards and stuff, like Linda Powers, the CEO, got $7.2 million last year
in options. So
no, total. That was total.
Okay.
So she got $6.7 million in options, and then also she I believe they accelerated the vesting as part of wait, let me see if I can find this. Yeah, she achieved a performance milestone, and the company accelerated vesting on 9.8 million of the stock options granted to Ms. Powers. A performance milestone? What performance? They didn't release any data. The only performance that I can see
raising money.
They're not bankrupt.
Exactly. She kept the lights on, which is amazing. She deserves credit for that. And she's managing to continue to pay herself.
But they don't actually say what what it is, and here they do list like kind of what the unvested portions of the options are subject to accelerated vesting upon a change in effective control of the company, filing a BLA, completion of any randomized clinical trial that meets its endpoints, decision by the board at its discretion.
There you go.
Or death of the recipient. So it's like. So you can get a performance bonus just because we feel like it. You don't actually have to have performance. That is wonderful. Corporate governance there.
I love it.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, right now, I think the insiders have more shares than the company had a year ago. It's just diluted itself so much, and they've issued themselves so many options.
I'm sure there's anti-dilutive provisions in their awards as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
So it's just it might as well be straight cash. It doesn't matter where the stock price is.
And then I just have like one last thing, which is I did not know that we have a strategic cheese stockpile.
We do. It's important because this is where the government cheese thing came from. Everyone says that government cheese is a thing because occasionally the cheese stockpile gets too big and they give it out to people, poor people, because they've got too much of it.
Well, so I usually think of like when you're stockpiling something like the strategic, oil or gas reserve or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. Like you're worried that like there might be some outside actor that will limit your ability to have something. I mean, are we worried we're going to go to war with France? And we won't be able to buy non-kosher cheeses?
Oh, we don't even we can't even compete with that. French cheese is so much better. But I'm a little snobby about cheese. But no, it's just.
Oh yeah, and you like the stinkiest.
I was just going to say you love stinky cheese.
Oh my god, there was one that was like almost like it could kill you. It was like chemical weapon from World War I kind of smell.
Oh, that one was so good. Yes, it was a little bit bad. These guys made me eat my cheese in the stairwell because it was too stinky.
Don't eat your cheese.
Right. So no, it's completely opposite. It's to stabilize the dairy market.
No, I know. It's just because of all the milk subsidies, and so we have like too much milk. People are drinking less milk, but farmers are making more milk. Yeah, and so we end up with all this cheese that no one wants.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time you had a glass of milk?
Well, like 5 years.
When I was 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I hate milk.
You hate milk?
Yeah. I drink almond milk.
What about in your cereal?
Almond milk.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I did the almond milk thing in my cereal for a while, but it really wasn't the same.
I mean, I guess I had non-fat milk until I discovered almond milk, but I would never just like drink non-fat milk. Like I would put it in my cereal, but just for it to get a little bit.
You should have full fat milk. That's where it's at. It's like
Ew.
butter.
Ew.
Like butter.
I put half and half in my milk. I have half and half in my
You're
cereal.
such a southerner. Oh my god.
It's so good.
Oh, I bet it is. Yeah. I mean, the more fat, the better.
I just put
right?
a little bit in. My wife makes homemade granola, so it's like the richest, most ridiculous stuff in the world. It's lactation granola, and so you get like
What's
this much of
lactation
it,
granola?
and then you splash it with some half and half in the morning, and
What's lactation granola?
it's got some of these nuts in it, and
What? Did you just say these nuts?
it's got some nuts. It's got some maple. It's got some oats. Oats are what make it lactation. It's all branding. I don't know why oats are lactation.
No, so like if
Good
you're
for
lactating, you
lactation
should eat
or
this
whatever.
granola.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like a product of lactation or something. Like I didn't get what you were saying at all.
No, that's really gross. No, that's really, really gross.
You know, there's people out there. I mean, the people who drink like raw water and all that stuff. I'm sure they drink like breast milk. And stuff.
Yes. There is people make cheese out of human cheese.
That's got to be just wrong somehow. I mean,
Well, it's not. It's like a threat to human health. I mean, it's not healthy. I don't think you should be eating other people's cheese.
no. I mean, if it's pasteurized.
Do you know what the most expensive cheese is?
What kind?
Moose cheese.
Moose cheese.
Moose cheese is super expensive.
Well, how'd you find this out? You looked on Gwyneth Paltrow's website or something?
No, Gwyneth Paltrow. There's no moose cheese, but maybe they should carry moose cheese. But it's because the moose, whoever's milking the moose, it's like a risk to life and limb for them to go and milk a moose because the moose could just like stomp them and kill them instantaneously.
Yeah, why would you want to even do that? Like, why would you want moose cheese?
Because it tastes so good.
It can't taste that good.
Where have you tried moose cheese?
I've never had moose cheese. I can't afford. moose
I
cheese.
mean, can you like knock the moose out and then like milk them, or do they have to be conscious?
Probably not. But like that's just mean.
Well-
You're gonna Sarah Palin some moose from a helicopter and go down there and milk them.
Well. So I did, since you brought up Sarah Palin, I did actually watch like I think an episode or two of her reality show on TLC whenever it was on.
The TLC used to be the Learning Channel. Now they have Sarah Palin.
Well, this was a while
TV.
back.
Okay.
And like there was a part where she went fishing and like they had all this halibut and basically she and her family had to go on the deck and club all the halibut unconscious because they were like flopping around too much. And I'm just like, oh my God, she really has said bye-bye to her entire political career because there's no way you can turn back from this.
From clubbing halibut?
Yeah, like just it was
not
a
a
ridiculous
dolphin.
scene. It was but it was a ridiculous scene. It
I
was
mean,
like so much halibut.
I don't
and
want to
they're just
defend
like-
Sarah Palin in any way, shape, or form, but I don't think it's a goddamn fish. I mean, I will eat a fish that looks just the way it was when it was in the ocean. You just get it and you lightly grill it and you put it on my plate. It's got the head. It's staring at me with its eyes.
I don't do that.
That does not
Me
bother
either.
me. I mean, it's the only animal that, while still alive and in its natural form, looks delicious, right? Everything else, you look at a chicken, you don't think, that's a tasty looking chicken running around there with all its feathers and its feet and shit. Or a cow, you don't see a cow, it's like, oh, that's a good looking cow. But you see a fish and you're like, I'm going to eat you up.
Yeah, I'm really not with you on that one. Like, I know I should eat sardines. I think they are good for you and all that. But like, I'll just look at them and I'm like, no way, Jose. I just can't. I can't bring myself to.
It's so good, man.
It's no. So
We got anything else?
well, Herman Cain might join the Federal Reserve Board.
I love this. All right. Well, on that note, let's close it up, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry, we will try and have another Armchair Healthcare here. And
Yes, we'll be more regular from now on.
in
We'll-
less
we
than
have
a
our
month.
Metamucil.
yeah, in less than a month, we'll do another one. I promise.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Our theme music is by Hazar.